In this video, we're going to continue on in the counter shoulder in on the circle, which is the fourth of the different positions of shoulder in and counter shoulder in. And each one progresses up to a little bit more difficult, usually, not always, but usually. So we're just going to connect up our outside rein, bring it back, get our hand down to the shoulder, grab our inside rein or the bit, whichever one you feel like you need to. I'm going to ask her to walk off, and we're just going to start a circle where she's going around me. And then I'm going to set up, put her in a little bit of a shoulder in on this circle. And so how I'm going to turn it into a counter shoulder in is just change the direction of travel. So I've got her in a shoulder in now, and now I'm going to figure eight the other direction. So now I'm walking a different circle, but I'm keeping her in a counter shoulder in position. I'm keeping her bent around me, asking her hind end to step towards the inside of the circle because we changed direction. Now I'm going quite a long ways here because she can handle it, but if you're on a green horse, you might just do a few steps. So let me just show you that. I'll have her circle back around me. So I'm put her in a shoulder in position here, and I'm going to kind of watch for my rail. Where do I have an open space to counter shoulder in the other way? So now I'm going to figure eight the other way, and I'm just doing a few steps, and then I can ask her to circle back around me again. So if this is really hard for your horse, you don't have to do that many steps. Just do a few. Put her back in a shoulder in position, going around me, and then I'm going to circle back around her in a counter shoulder in. There, just a few strides, and then I can circle back around me. So it's kind of a bit of a wave you're doing where she's going around me. I have her in a shoulder in, so she's going around me, and then I'm just going to start walking into her a little bit, press with my shoulder hand a little bit to say move your shoulder over there, but keeping her hind end in also, and walking a small circle around her. So I'm on the outside of the circle. Now I have her circled around me, turn it back into a shoulder in, and now she's on the outside of the circle. And the better your horse gets, the longer you can hold them in the counter shoulder in. So here she's shoulder in, so now I'm going to circle back the other way. And now I'm on the outside of the circle, she's on the inside. Yeah, that's nice. And she can hold it, so I can go longer. And remember too that we're looking for a nice, relaxed, long neck. That's what we're looking for right there. The counter shoulder in is counter shoulder in on the circle is a great place to start getting more control over the shoulders, because what we're having to do is get them to shift over as they're still engaging with the inside hind. So let me kind of explain that as we're walking along here. So shoulder in here on the circle gets her to engage, and I start getting a bit of control with the outside rein, controlling the outside of her body. And then as I come around and start doing a counter shoulder in. Now she has to follow the feel. Her shoulders have to be able to push over that way or move away from me while she still keeps this inside hind engaging. And so this really starts to get the mobility through the shoulders, and that's where the counter shoulder in on the circle is really helpful. So I can say, keep your angle, which is now the hind ends to the inside, but cross over the shoulders, cross over the front. Both the hind and front are crossing over, but the front's crossing over a little bit more because it's on a little bit bigger of a circle. Where now if I go into a shoulder in on the circle, now our hind end's on a little bit bigger of a circle and the front end's a little bit smaller, so there's a little bit more of a crossover with the hind end. So this is a great way to really start getting control over the different body parts. So here I can ask the shoulder to step over. Yes, let's see, and that's pretty nice. So lots of being able to shoulder in to a counter shoulder in, back to a shoulder in, that sort of thing. I'm going to show you another way if your horse is really kind of falling in and bracy in the shoulders, not really coming through, and we'll just do this the other way, is use your counter shoulder in down the rail. So I'm heading down the rail, counter shoulder in here. Now I'm going to use the corner to do a quarter of a counter shoulder in on the circle. So your corner is a quarter of a circle. And since you have the rail there, it'll help them to move through and around. It'll help you get the shoulders to go over. So I keep her bent. I let the rail, so I say keep going, stay in position, and keep coming around. And now I could continue on. This side she's a little bit stiffer on. So she does need help here. So I'm saying step around. Now I'll go back to shoulder in. She wants to get a tiny bit too deep. So then I'm going to come back up to just the bit so she doesn't come behind the bit too much. And we'll go back to the corner here and just show you that again. So we're doing a counter shoulder in down the rail. And let the corner do a quarter of a circle, so a counter shoulder in on the circle. And if I want, I can continue on a little bit farther and come back to the rail. So I can do a little bit of a serpentine, get to the corner here, have her come through the corner, counter shoulder in on the circle. I'm going to ask her to keep going for a few more steps. Good. And then I can go back to the rail in a shoulder in and get to the rail. I can do counter shoulder in circle. So it's like I'm doing a little serpentine there. Have her shoulder in this way, and we'll just continue circling around. And I can do it back the other way too. Just half circle, counter shoulder in here, in a half circle, back to a shoulder in here, and back to a counter shoulder in here, keeping her neck a little longer, all the way through the corner. Yeah. And there she's now real soft and nice and in my hand and just going straight ahead. So those are a few different ideas of how to play with the counter shoulder in on the circle. If you're really having trouble getting control of the shoulders, play with a lot more counter shoulder in down the rail and use your corners to help you get control of being able to get that crossover where they start moving away from you as you make the circle into a counter shoulder in. So go out there, play with it. I'd love to hear how it's working for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.